Gentlemen, if you need to use the restroom, now's a good time.
No, you're on live, Evan.
Get the fuck out of my way.
There you go. There you go. I'm like, no, Evan, no. You're actually live.
Whatever.
Sí. Ya está. My bad, guys. Or, actually, it's not even my bad, but it's actually Twitch's bad, but that's okay.
It's cool, bro.
There we go. So continue talking AFC East.
The AFC East.
So I don't know, Tosco. What do you think? I'm so curious about Tua. I'm curious about what you think about the whole Tua thing. Like, is he gonna actually work out? Is it just an experiment?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's an experiment. And we're moving on to the Dolphins, I believe. So
yeah.
I don't think it's an experiment.
Cause like, well, one thing, just real quick, just like a take, like, there, you know how people are saying like, oh, well, you know, Tua is like super accurate or whatever. I'm like, well, yeah, like, you know, no offense, but like, you know, no shit, like that's kind of your job. You know, to throw the ball accurately.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are not very accurate in the NFL.
Well, but, I mean, yeah, but like that's supposed. I mean, you're supposed to, so no, like you're supposed to throw the ball or whatever.
Well, it's because you got to also see something else. It's like, oh, he was very accurate to, you know, three top 10 receivers in college.
Yeah, Bama.
He had Jalen Waddle, who was a top 10 pick to the Dolphins. He had Jerry Jeudy, who was a top pick last year for the Broncos. He had Henry Ruggs, who was a top 12 pick for the Raiders. He had Devontae Smith, who maybe didn't get to see a lot of the field when he was there, but he was a top 13, 14 pick. I mean, you're talking about he had elite receivers. A lot of people want to compare him to that. Oh, he did this in college. He did this in college. Yeah, awesome. He doesn't have, coaches. Yeah. And the line and all that. He doesn't have the same situation in Miami. Don't get me wrong. All these guys are NFL players, so you're expecting them to be all good, right? But at the same time, it doesn't work like that when you don't know these players. And realistically, what he has in Miami is not really a top 10 offense. So, you know, him coming in and not being accurate and not being this, not being that, you know, I think it's something that he can improve on. But at the same time, you know, it's something that he has to get over the game management part, I believe. It's not going to be as easy as him just coming in and just slinging it like he did in college. It's not going to be like that. So they have to make it easier for him. That's why they drafted Jalen Waddle, and hopefully they'll put more emphasis in trying to help him. They haven't got a running back, so I don't know why they haven't done that. They're going to go ahead and rely on that committee that they had last year with Myles Gaskin and Ahmed and Brown. And well, they brought in Malcolm Brown from the Rams, but he's going to be part of that. And so we'll see how it goes. I've just seen what I did last year. I don't see his future being that bright. Obviously, it was a season where he's coming in as a rookie, coming in as he was injured, and now he's becoming at COVID and all those situations. So maybe it's unfair of me to do that. But he has to put up or shut up. And later, we got to move on. This is before in the NFL before 2010, 2011, it was a different kind of league. You drafted a quarterback in the first round, you were going to keep him for 5 years regardless because you were paying that man $100 million. Now, with the rookie salary cap, that's not happening anymore. So you can start getting rid of your rookie quarterback after year 2 because, year 3, you already made a decision he's in or out because that year you're trading him because the following year is when you have to sign him for the extension. If you're going to give him the extension for the 5th year or you're not and you're going to cut him, but if you cut him, you get no value. So you're just going to cut him. He becomes a free agent. So that's when people start looking for a trade and see if somebody else can work with that kind of quarterback. Back then, you would have to keep him and work with him, and hopefully he gets better. And if you wanted to give him another chance, you would sign him to another contract after that. And it was a big deal back then. Not as much anymore. So I think he has to do it sooner rather than later because if not, they're going to move on and they're going to look for somebody because that team, that defense is a win now defense. I mean, they did lose some of their defensive, their rushers, but they did sign some guys. They brought in some guys, and hopefully that that'll be enough for them to and they drafted some guys, their first round pick, Jalen Phillips. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, the Dolphins are in a difficult position because they need to make sure they win. And then letting go of Fitzpatrick, it's Tua or bust because
that was kind of ballsy.
They brought in Jacoby Brissett, who was the backup in Colts. He's had some starting experience. He's had winning. He's won some games. But I mean, I think I don't know if you would put this kind of team in his hands. So.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's put up or shut up for Tua because he came in highly touted, and we'll see. I know he was injured, but I mean, it's already been over a year. That injury healed. He's good to go. So we'll see if he pans out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's time to already live up to your draft name or whatever, draft stock at least.
Yeah, I mean. And one last thing, they brought in not only Jalen Waddle, they brought in Will Fuller, so that you can see that they're trying at least to help him, right?
Yeah,
they brought in Bernardrick McKinney from the Texans, a good pass rusher, good linebacker. I mean, they're making moves. It's not like they're just saying, hey, it's all on you. But, I mean, I hope that Tua is the guy and does his, like you said, does his job. I mean, but we'll see how it goes.
He's not another Johnny Manziel.
Superman, all right, talk to me. Tua is going to playoffs or no?
Tua and the Dolphins going to the playoffs?
Yeah.
I wouldn't really I wouldn't really say they would. There's long shots. You'd be wrong. With this type of talent over there in the AFC, I mean, notwithstanding the Bills in their own conference, I don't really think they can go much further. Maybe they'll get a few more wins than last season. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's we got to see what kind of Tua we're gonna get because training camp he didn't show up very well.
The thing is, Art, I don't know if they can get more wins than they did last year. They had 11 wins.
Oh,
and they didn't make the playoffs.
Ouch.
So, and that's a good point. Not only are the Bills the favorites to win the division, I think they will win the division. They got a Patriots team who's got like 50 new players, and they're coming back strong. And not only do you have to go up against them for a wild card spot, you also have to go up against the teams in the NFC North, where you have the Browns, the Ravens, the Steelers. You have to go against the Colts and the Titans that are going to be competitive in that division. And yeah, you still have the Chiefs who are going to win their division, but the Chargers with Herbert, you have the Raiders who are always lingering. And you'll never know with the Broncos. The Broncos they say they're a quarterback away. What if Aaron Rodgers hits that way? Deshaun Watson hits that way? What's going to happen then?
So moving forward right into the Jets, just kind of want to talk about their new coach, new culture. Obviously they have a new quarterback. I don't know your thoughts, super fan Art. We'll start with you this time. Just when sometimes injecting a new, kind of start brand new, helps out a team. Sometimes it doesn't. What do you think? I mean, it is a big city. It is the Big Apple, whatever. It is a good coach. I don't know about the pick. That wasn't to me the best pick. Necessarily, but that's them. But I don't know. Just kind of your 2 cents on that, real quick.
You're referring to their rookie QB?
Yeah.
From
Sam Wilson?
Yeah. Zach Wilson from BYU?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, he was a pretty entertaining college athlete with his Wilson. I know he's got to compete with the likes of other QBs, Mike White and James Morgan, but everybody knows that Wilson is kind of the favorite at the moment for this franchise that is desperately needed to rebrand itself for the past decade. So yeah, they could use a breath of fresh air with some of their new staff and players. It's never easy to bounce back in a rebuilding year. Usually it does take a few years to kind of get things back together. So, I mean, hoping they'll get a few wins, but very likely they won't be so competitive, at least for the next 4 years.
What do you think?
Boom.
Talk to me, Coach. What's going on? I know you. I want to hear your take on this.
I mean, it's this team went through a lot of turnover. They did a lot of change in this last year. Not only did they bring in a new head coach, they bring in a new offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur. They bring in a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, who was a former player himself. And they bring in a bunch of different guys. They even brought in Miles Austin. Miles Austin is a coach now.
Oh, what? Seriously?
He's a receivers coach for them.
What happened to him after the Cowboys or after the NFL? Did he play?
He played up until I think it was 2015, 2016, and then he became a coach. He asked to he was a part of the Cowboys franchise. I think I don't know what he was doing, but I don't know if he was a coach. I think he was.
Like a trainer or something?
Something like that, like an advisor or something for the Cowboys for a couple of years. And then he went to San Francisco. He was a coach. He was a coach over there with San Francisco. And now, Robert Saleh he came over from San Francisco. He was the defensive coordinator over there.
Yeah. Oh, brought him over. Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he brought a lot of these guys.
And he's the defensive coordinator?
Who? Miles Austin?
Yeah. Or is this
Miles Austin is going to be the wide receivers coach.
Oh, okay.
Their offensive coordinator is going to be Mike LaFleur, who actually is the brother. Yeah, he's the brother of Matt LaFleur, the head coach of Green Bay.
Yeah.
And he was a coach also at over there in San Francisco, and they brought him over. He also brought over, like I said, Jeff Ulbrich, who was a coach over there. Now he's going to be the defensive coordinator over here. So Robert Saleh, basically, like you said, he brought over a bunch of new guys, and I think this may be the beginning of like Arturo said, a breath of fresh air. There's been a lot of negativity associated with playing with the Jets in these last few years. Players saying that it's horrible. I remember last year they had a defensive tackle, Steve McClendon. He was, they signed him as a big free agent deal. He went there, and they traded him. and it happened. I think it was like week 6. They actually traded him to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so he got very lucky.
Mobile.
He got traded there, and it happened. It was like the trade happened right before their game, and he didn't know about it, so he played the game. After the game, they told him, hey, great game, whatever, but you've been traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He didn't even change out of his uniform. He just went ahead and grabbed all his stuff, laters, and he left, right?
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, he was like, I'm out. Because they asked him about it. He was like, yeah, no, it's not a great situation there. And the coach that was there before was not a great coach at all. And Adam Gase, and now they did, not only with the coaching staff, but they turned over this whole roster, not only with their picks, but also with the roster that they had. They let go. They did not resign about 20 free agents that they had. They said, you know what, all of you laters, 20 free agents, laters, we're not going to resign.
Starters?
We're not going to resign you. Some were starters, yeah. Some were starters. You had Rashard Perryman, who was a starting wide receiver. Brian Poole, who was a starting corner. You had Neville Hewitt, their starting middle linebacker. Pat Elflein, starting guard. Basham, a starting outside linebacker. They had starters there. They just said, deuces, I'm out, laters. And so, they let them go. They did not want anything to do with these guys. Basically, Salah said, you know what? If they're free agents, we're going to let them go. We're going to bring in you guys that we feel are going to make a difference. And they did. They ended up signing about 15, 16 guys, free agents, not necessarily the top free agents, but good free agents that come in that will make a difference. Some of these impact free agents, I can tell you, Corey Davis, wide receiver from the Titans. Keelan Cole, one of the top receivers from the Jaguars. They brought them in. They brought in Jared Davis, who was the middle linebacker for the Lions, who, you may say, oh, the Lions haven't been very good, but Jared Davis has been really good in that team. He's just been lost in there. They brought in Carl Lawson, a top defensive end free agent from the Bengals, and they brought in Sheldon Rankins, a defensive tackle, one of the top free agent, top defensive tackles a couple of years ago. Had some injury issues, played most of last season, came back, had a good year, but now he's a free agent. So they brought in good NFL veterans that are going to definitely change this team right away. And with their draft picks, they brought in Zach Wilson, their quarterback of their future. They traded back into the first round, and they got Elijah Vera Tucker, guard for their next 10 years.
I was going to say.
Yeah. And they're going to pair him with the left tackle that they drafted last year, Mekhi Becton. And that left side of that offensive line is set for the next 10 years. That is set for years to come, right? So, that's a good start right there. That's a good foundation, right? You have your left tackle, your left guard, you have your quarterback, you have some good receivers. They did bring in other running backs. They brought in Michael Carter. They drafted Michael Carter, who a lot of people say could be a steal of the end of this past draft in the 4th round. And we're going to see how they go, but it's going to be a brand new environment. And I think Robert Saleh is a guy, seems like a guy, obviously, just stuff that I read on him, seems like a guy that's going to come in and change the environment, change the culture, and have it. I'm not going to say they're going to win the division. I'm not going to say they're going to win 10 games or they're going to be playoff bound, but at least whatever negative vibes, whatever negative connotation that team had is going to be going away. Robert Saleh seems like a genuinely good guy and a guy that knows what he's doing, seems to know what he's doing, and hopefully we'll see, and if that's the case, if they build on these last few drafts, on these free agents, you never know. The Jets could be something in the next, 2 to 4 years. You never know.
So just like the last one, which is the Patriots, I know they're a little bit more of a wild card right now, which is kind of weird to say, right? Because that's one of the things that you would always kind of, take for granted, I guess, or we all did, right? But I think that, the Patriots, Cam versus Mac, they did obviously draft Mac Jones. People say, he's gonna be good. He maybe not. That they see something in them. That Belichick sees something in them that we don't. Um, I don't know. I'm not really sure who's actually gonna end up, finishing the season anyway. They did get a roster overhaul. Added, like you said, like 50 new players to like their 52-man roster or whatever, right? So it's just like kind of like where are they? I still think they're like they battle the Jets for 3 and 4, in the division anyway. But talk to me, Tosco. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think you're wrong, but it's all depending on the quarterback situation. Because I mean, we can easily say, if Cam comes back and is MVP Cam, then the Patriots are gonna be up for winning the division, right? Just because this roster is that much better. Um, Even Tom Brady, the last year he was there in New England, which was 2 years ago, he basically said they made it to the playoffs. They lost in the first round, but he said, and everybody, saw that roster was one of the worst rosters to make it to the playoffs, of the last 20 years. That roster was missing a lot of players, and either they were hurt or whatever the case may be, but that was not a talented roster. They won games based on the 2 or 3 stars that they had, Tom Brady getting the ball to them. Tom Brady had no receivers. I mean, you had Edelman, and that was it, because they didn't have Gronk then, and he was trying, and he would get, a couple of receivers and catch some balls, and they would win the game. It was basically all the running backs that he had in the backfield. Burkhead, White, Sonny Michel, the other one that's always there. What's his name? The one with the dreads.
No, Blunt.
Bolden, and Harris. They had like 6 or 7 of them, and that's who made all the plays. And it was the same thing going to the year they made it to the Super Bowl against the Rams. But either way, this year, again, they let go. They had about 20 free agents. They let go about 10 or 12 of them, and they brought in a lot of free agents. They brought in about 22 free agents, and they got some big prizes. They got Matthew Judon, probably the best linebacker, rushing linebacker that was out in the free agent market. They went ahead and got Jalen Mills, best corner, one of the best corner that was out in the free agent market. They brought in the 2 best tight ends, in Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, that were in the free agent market. They brought in Kyle Van Noy, who one of the better rushing, one of the better linebackers. He doesn't really rush anymore. That was out in the free agent market. So they got some big prizes, this offseason. And then aside from that, also their drafts, who you can say may not be the best, talent-wise, or, I'm not going to say talent-wise, I guess, just by, you don't have that many first-rounders or these first-round talents. But if you look at this, Mac Jones, I mean, at 15, they had to draft him there. And, he's going to be the competition for Cam, and we'll get to that in a second. But they got Christian Barmore, who was a projected first-rounder. They traded up to get him, probably the best defensive tackle in the draft. They got Ronnie Perkins in the 3rd, who they traded up. Oh, no, it was a compensatory pick, who they got at the end of the 3rd, who's can be a first-round talent. who was suspended for the beginning of the first 3 or 4 games for Oklahoma, came back, had a great year. Ramondre Stevenson, another running back from Oklahoma that was real good, maybe a little bit overshadowed by, the other players that were there. But, these are potential first-round talents that dropped. So, adding that to the roster, hopefully Cam can come back and not have the, dud of a year that he had last year. And you're talking about a team that can compete for that division with the Bills. Now, if Cam does not compete and Cam does not show up, it's going to be the Mac attack. So Mac Jones is going to come in, but how good is Mac Jones going to be? And I think your question was, is he going to play? Who's going to play more games, right? Well, I think Cam's going to play more games, but Mac Jones is going to be playing by the end of the year.
Dang. Just like that, he's just going to finish the...
You heard it here first.
And will still be best dressed, though.
Why breaking dishes?
Oh, yeah.
Hard talk.
I think Mac Jones is just he's gonna end the year because Cam's not gonna be able to perform the way he did before. I think Cam's gonna start off okay, decent, win some games, and then he's gonna fall off. And then I think the itch is just gonna go for Belichick, not Brady, Belichick. The itch is gonna be there, and he's gonna want to scratch it, and he's gonna want to put in Mac Jones. I mean, it's your first round pick. You're gonna have to see what he has.
Yeah, and I kind of agree where it's like, you drafted him for a reason. He's one of the highest picks that you've actually drafted in a long while. Not just like to quarterback or whatever, or offensive player, period, but just like player at all. So just like,
because they're usually drafting at the end of the first round. So the fact that they're there and they did draft a quarterback, what did they see in him that they did in others? Now, the question would be, well, what if one of the other quarterbacks would have fallen? Would they have drafted one of those at 15? That would be a great question to ask. And one, I think maybe they wouldn't. And I think maybe the only reason why they did draft Mac Jones is because Belichick is friends with Saban. They're really good friends. And I think, and Saban told them some notes, some pointers, some tips and tricks, and some cheat codes, and kind of told them, well, think about it.
I mean,
Mac Jones,
maybe.
Mac Jones was a starter for 1 year. 1 year. He had an all-star team, and he had a great season. 1 year. I mean, if I'm an NFL coach and I'm going to invest my future, I'm going to want to see more than 1 year.
Yeah. But I mean, they drafted Trey Lance and,
Well, Trey Lance had played before. I mean, Trey Lance had played the year before, and in the second year, it was cut off because of COVID. But, I mean, yeah, you can say Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson played a little bit before, and he played this year. Trevor Lawrence played for 4 years and 3 years. And then who's the other quarterback? There was another one. Justin Fields. He played two complete years.
Yeah. And he competed.
He competed,
at high level, yeah.
And so Mac Jones, what did Saban tell him? What did Saban tell Belichick to say, I need this guy? And reports are out, were out during draft saying Mac Jones is one of the smartest guys to play quarterback, in the NFL right now. And I think that's what intrigued Belichick. I think that having it up here is better than having, the intangibles here. Those things you can teach and you can learn and you know, but if he already has it here, then you're
It'll
already
work.
a leg up on the game.
Yeah.
So I don't think Mac Jones is a perfect prospect. I think Mac Jones has a lot to go, but it helps when he's already having it up here.
A
When
good
he already
football IQ.
has, yeah, he already has the football IQ. He already knows the coverages. He already knows the different offenses. That's already a step ahead. Now, all they got to worry about, okay, let's work on your footwork. Let's work on your release. Let's work on your read. Where are you going to go? Different movements, that stuff, that all can be taught. That all can be taught. Sorry. But not having it up here.
I mean, I don't know. I'm excited to kind of see how the Patriots do live, post Brady, which we are essentially kind of living that. Um, and it just should be pretty exciting just to kind of see how what they do, and just especially like how Belichick kind of, like you were saying, starts pulling out all his secret weapon stuff and all his, like, you know coach IQ to finally reestablish a franchise, or essentially reestablish a new phase, a new and get competitive. Honestly, that's really what it is. Just get competitive, because like they're not, dude. Like they're like it wasn't even a competitive roster at all. So it's like, you know they relied way too much on Brady.
And one of the last, oh, of course. Well, I mean, when you have a Hall of Famer, a legend, you're gonna. But the last thing that I'm gonna bring up is the thing I'm gonna be looking forward to the most is how that offense is being run, because they already said this offense is changing from anything they've done before. They had a little bit of those elements last year, but now with the signings they have and the type of team they have, they're going with an offense that's more built around Cam Newton, to where he's going to have plays where he's going to have the option
RPOs
to pass.
And stuff.
Yeah, pass. Everybody has those RPOs, like you said, but now they're Cam Newton type of RPOs, to where you're in a formation where you're in a tight formation, a heavy formation. You got 3 tight ends, right? You got 1 receiver, a fullback, a running back, whatever the case. You have heavy personnel, and all of a sudden Cam just boom rolls out and takes it. Not everybody runs those kinds of plays.
Yeah.
And so if that's the offense they put in there, is Mac Jones when? Because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a when, not if. It's going to be when they change to Mac Jones. Is the offense going to stay, or is it going to change? And that's going to prove to be a challenge, because now you're teaching everybody, hey, now we're going back to something different. Because if not, are you going to put Mac Jones, your rookie guy, to go? Because he's a runner. He wasn't the fastest, but he was a good runner. Are you going to put him out there on the edge, going up against these safeties and linebackers that are going to get to him? Are you going to let him take the hits, your future? So that's something that we need to see. That's what I'm going to be most intrigued about, especially if Cam is not pulling his weight. And I think he's going to be on a short leash either way. He signed a 1-year deal. He knows what this is about. It's a prove yourself deal. And he's going to be on a short leash, within the first 3 to 5 weeks. If the Patriots are 1-4, 0-5, 1-4, maybe even 2-3, that's it. They're going to, hey, you got 1 more game, buddy, or you're out.
Damn, just like that, Tosco.
January.
Of course. All right, guys, we're going to do a very quick UEFA standings. We're going to do like 2 groups at a time, A and B. Essentially just because as we're reaching kind of towards the end of the group stage and entering the actual elimination round. And also, as well as we get into our CONMEBOL, which is a South American league, the Copa America, that is happening already as we speak. We're not going to talk about it today. We'll definitely talk about it next time. But so you guys want to keep an eye on that as well. But for today, let's see, who do we have? We have Group A and Group B. So Tosco, Obviously, right now we do have, Group A, essentially almost Italy winning the whole thing. Wales did put up a good game. I mean, that was pretty interesting. I actually saw that game. Um, it's Italy, right? I finally like more than anything what I took about this game is specifically was the fact that I saw Italy resurging again. The Italian game where back then for you young viewers or whatever, um, not that I'm old myself, but Italy was like yeah everyone has like their own style, but Italy was very known for like very good defense and stuff. But they're very like a European style, like Brazilian type of game, if you will, where like they're very accurate, very unorthodox, angles and stuff, but still very like playing like very rigid, like the Europeans and stuff. And lately they just haven't had anyone like a very true nine, or like a true striker that can actually be able to kind of rely on, if you will. But now they kind of do. I mean, not really, right? Not just yet. A mobile. He's getting there. And they're flirting with it. But it's cool. You're finally seeing. Well, at least I'm seeing the actual transition where like they didn't make the World Cup or whatever. And it's hard. So now you see the new generation actually progressing. Just want to kind of give a thought on that. And then just for Group B, obviously Belgium just kind of took it away. I mean, they're just Belgium. I mean, that's just the way it is. Tosco, what do you think?
Well, and on the Italy front, I think that you make a great point with the resurgence, and the reason why I know is because I playing FIFA a lot and creating
Yeah.
your franchise and all that, and your player, whatever, your manager. Was after you have your team, but you want to get the young talent. And every year I would pick up the young talent that was Italian, and I would pick up Locatelli, and I would pick up Verratti, and Chiesa, and all these guys, and Immobile, and Jorginho, and now you're starting to see them, and you see them, and now they're on the team because they weren't on the team in the last World Cup where you said they didn't make it.
Yeah.
And so it's good to see. It is a change. Their coach, Maldini, Mancini. I'm sorry, wrong one. He's got him playing good, and you're right. It's nice to see the striker now. They have a striker at Belotti and Immobile, and you're starting to see them more, and the way they're playing is awesome, and they're gonna be a tough out. They're gonna be a tough out, for whoever they're playing in the next group, and going into Group B, one of the things that was awesome to see on the last day, which was yesterday, of their matches were
The Denmark.
Denmark, seeing Denmark win by 4-1, and making it, being second in the group, and for sure advancing to the next round. That was awesome to see. We knew Belgium was going to win it, and Belgium was going to win the group.
Yeah.
They're just, they're above.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
But seeing Denmark after they lost the first game to Finland, right away when they lost that game, you knew they were in trouble. And don't get me wrong, Denmark, they're not a bad team, but they were in that, Denmark, Russia, because Russia played good in the last World Cup. It made it all the way to the semifinal where they lost to Croatia. And, is this the same Russian team? Stuff like that. We had doubts and we had questions, but watching them play each other, and Denmark just coming out and putting up four goals, and it was very emotional. It was very nice, after what happened to Christian Eriksen and losing their star player, their best player, losing him and
Yeah,
still being able.
and captain,
Their
right?
captain. Well, no, they're not the captain. Their captain is
No, the captain scored. I think the captain scored, right?
the captain scored, I believe, yes. And seeing them make it and score the 4 goals was awesome. Seeing that, and so they're advancing, them in Denmark, and it's going to be great to see, in the next round. Belgium's going to be a powerhouse. Italy's going to be a powerhouse, and we're going to see how it goes. We're going to see, how if they can keep it up. So.
All right, so we're going right into Group C and oh man, Group C and D. So you do have the Netherlands winning out 9 points, and Austria actually winning out as well. That was a pretty even battle as well. Very similar to our Group B, if you will, but Netherlands obviously did win out. They do have a new team coming up, so we'll see how that's going. They do have eight goals, so that's pretty good, amount of scoring. And obviously we do have the Group D, England winning out. Croatia, Czech Republic, that was a pretty tough battle. In terms of the grouping. But I think Group D, if anything, is a very telling tale of what the future of or not the future, but like how the World Cup is gonna be like. Croatia second place, England third place, Czech Republic is always good. So I don't know. Talk to me, Tosco. What do you think about these two groups?
Well, Group C, I think the biggest surprise was not necessarily that the Netherlands advanced, it's how they advanced, how they won. They won all 3 games. They put up 8 goals. It was a team that what is going to score. They're going to score, and it may be their midfielders, it may be their forwards, and Memphis Depay, Wijnaldum, and now you have Dumfries that's coming up as a wing back, and they're going to be. It's an exciting team to watch. They're a little bit young, but I feel that wherever they end up in this Euro, this is already a win for them because it is giving them experience against a top talent, and you're bringing up these young guys. They're going to be even closer. So when the World Cup next year, this is going to be a team that everybody's going to be like, oh crap, we have the Netherlands.
Yeah.
They're in our group. Yeah, it's going to be like, damn it, now this is going to be tough.
Yeah, because you don't have your Van Persies or whatever.
Huntelaars, Robbins,
or like
all
like,
those guys are Van der Weel.
They put the fear in you, where you're like, all right, you need to look for that guy all the time.
And it was basically, the last, I guess maybe you could even say 10 years.
I was
the
gonna
Netherlands
say
kinda,
8 years, 8 years or so.
To 8 years, they kind of faded out. Netherlands was at the top. They made it to the World Cup final versus Spain in 2010. And then they just started fading out. They started losing players. And, not necessarily losing them, but they started, phasing out from
and aging out.
Aging out, yeah, and that's exactly right. And so, you have a good combination on defense, of young and old. You have the Verge, and Van Aanholt, who's 29, 30, Davy Blind, who's 30, Dumfries, 25. He's a young guy that comes in. The Lit is 21. He's one of the better ones. He's already a starter in Juventus. So you have that young and old mixture. In the midfield, you have Wijnaldum, who's 30. He's the captain, right? But you also have Graven Birch, who is one of those that you want to see what he can do because he's only 19. You have Danny Van Den Beek, who's 24. Frankie de Jong, 24. So you have some guys that you're going to mix with the old, but these are guys that are exciting. You're going to be able to see, what they can do. And then up top, you have Luke DeJong, who's the older DeJong. He's 30. Memphis Depay is still 27. You still have all the forwards have played, Malin and Wenkhorst, so I think they've been mixing up a good combination of young and old, and this team is going to be one to look out in the World Cup. Austria, I think, was probably the favorite in this group, but just looking at the way they've played, they haven't really lived up to that expectation.
I think just because they have they're just the veteran team or whatever.
They're a veteran team, so they kind of do those grind out wins and stuff. But I think offensively, they don't have much. They don't have much, and if Alaba doesn't come up from the back to the front and start things, it's gonna be very hard. It's gonna be very hard for them, especially when you're competing.
Yeah, because I think they've been scoring on set pieces only.
Yeah. And so, when you're going up against, Netherlands and, teams that are Belgium and England, Portugal that can put up points like that, France, it's going to be a struggle because now you have to play from behind and now you have to be more offensive. And when you don't really have that offensive kind of team, it can be a struggle. So, but I mean, I think that those are the two better teams, and they advanced. And in Group D, that finished up today, I think you make a good point saying that this is how we're going to see it in the World Cup. You're going to see England, you're going to see Croatia, you're going to see the Czech Republic. Czech Republic is a young team. They play really well. I watched them today versus England, and I kind of watched more Czech Republic than England. Because we already know what England has,
Yeah, and we see them every day. Or, I mean,
people and we see those players in the Premier League, and so it's something that we see a lot.
Yeah.
But the Czech Republic has a good team. That's a team that can get, and like I said, I think this is another team that benefited from this competition. They're a good team, an older team, but a team that can put stuff together. And if they can find a spark to help the offense out, I know they tried a lot of combinations. If they can find a spark to help out Schick at the top, they're 10. I think they could be a scary team coming, next year in the World Cup. But England won today, and they beat them, and I think that it's more consistency for England. They started off the first half awesome. They were going, they had chances, boom, boom, boom. Second half comes out and they kind of park the bus.
Yeah, they look uninspired always in the second half.
And it's like, you can't, if you're one of these teams, if you're one of these cutthroat teams that's a favorite, you got to go put them out quick and not worry about it. You got to keep on going.
Yeah, like France, like in the World Cup final, like,
when you play the better
relentless,
teams,
bro. They're relentless. Like, God,
And when you can play teams like the Netherlands that can put up points, now it's going to become a struggle. Because now, yes, you have the potential to match them, but when you are not inspired, when you already, second half, we're going to take it chill, and they're not playing their fully explosive players. Rashford came on in the second half. Sancho came on in the second half. And I get it. You're not going to start all of them, but, they need to come in. They need to come in a situation where they need to score, not in a situation where, we're just holding on to the lead, because then they're not really doing their full potential.
Yeah, and there is no leads, like, really now. Like, it's just like, honestly, because you can, if you're playing like Netherlands, you're playing, Portugal, they can score like real quick on you.
And there was a lot of times, even all the way up to the end of the game, where I was like, Czech Republic's going to score, and they're going to come in, and here's the goal, and here they come, and I honestly thought Czech Republic was going to score.
Yeah.
And the ball didn't just end up going their way, but England needs to really, I don't know what it is. The defense is good, their offense, it's just that they need to be more consistent in their attitude and their morale to keep it going, and we got to put them out. The game has to keep on going. It didn't end at halftime, and if they can do that, they'll be the favorites, one of the favorites to win the whole thing. But we'll see, and the competition only gets harder. So.
Yeah, and then just going right into our last group, E and F. So we do have Sweden, Slovakia leading the group, believe it or not, crew, and you have Spain, Poland. Poland's already obviously, I think, mathematically out. Right? No. They're not mathematically out. I am just playing around. So who Slovakia plays Spain? No, they already.
No, Slovakia. So Slovakia plays Spain. Poland plays Sweden.
There we go.
All three. Sweden is already in.
So Sweden's already in.
And so the other three teams are, see whoever wins is in, and Poland needs some people to win and some people to lose and win by so many. So.
Yeah.
So many things to happen.
All right. Well, we'll see how that happens. So definitely on Thursday we'll have an update on that.
And one thing on that, it's crazy that Sweden is already through and they've only scored one goal. So they've scored one goal and they're 2 games and they're already through. It just so happened that their one goal was the goal they needed to win the game, and their tie happened against one of the teams that you thought would be one of the leaders in Spain. So Sweden is already with their 4 points, they're through. Whether they're first or second, who knows? But like you said, Slovakia is the surprise here. They ended up beating Poland, and that kind of messed up Poland. Realistically, I think Poland and Sweden were kind of neck to neck for that second spot.
Yeah.
Because Poland did go through a lot of changes, but I really do like the Sweden squad here. Especially their forward, Isaac. He came out of nowhere. I hadn't seen him before. He's 21 years old. He's young. I really, really like the way he plays. He's one of those players that I'm going to be looking forward to seeing and seeing his what's it called, his potential, but his domestic team, wherever he plays. I don't know where he plays. He plays in Real Sociedad, so he's in Spain.
Oh,
I guarantee you that after this Euro or after the World Cup, he's not going to play with Real Sociedad.
I was going to say.
I guarantee you he's not going to be playing with Real Sociedad after that. So, I mean, he's had a good couple of games, and we'll see tomorrow, just to make sure, they close out the group and they win and they get a win versus Poland. They're going to try to, right? And but Sweden, one of those that is an older team that you're thinking, I don't know if they're going to make it, and they still have it, and the whole team, but players like Isaac brings in that spark, and hopefully that, that'll be enough for the later rounds, because they're, like I said, they're already through, but they got some pretty stiff competition if they're going to be the ones going up against that last group. So, but yeah, he's one of those players that I do like and going to keep an eye on tomorrow.
And then real quick, obviously the last group. So technically France, Germany, Portugal, Hungary, technically no one is eliminated, right?
No one's eliminated, but France is already through.
Yeah. Well, France already through, but technically Germany, Portugal, and Hungary technically can still, or are still gonna battle it out. I mean, essentially.
And remember, there's always a third. There is 4 third place teams that are going to advance, right?
Oh, 4. Okay. I thought it was only 2.
Is it 2? No, because there's 6 groups.
Yeah,
and there's 2 for each group. That's 12, and then you have 4 third place teams to make it 16. So
that's right. Yeah.
So one of the third place groups is Switzerland. They're already through, so that's one of them. And so most likely one of the third placers is going to come from this group because of the amount of points they have. It goes off of points. So, you already have France with 4, Germany and Portugal with 3. So Germany plays Hungary and Portugal plays France. So Hungary got a point, and Hungary actually played pretty good. They played pretty good versus France, and like Adrian said, they played pretty good versus Portugal all the way to minute 80, and then they just lost composure there.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was like you can tell, you could feel the tension, dude. I saw that game. I was like, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it? Oh, they did it.
And watching them play, they're not a bad team, but compared to the other 3,
yeah, dude, it's just too much. The talent, the talent disparity is too much, especially when even France, France was the whole the ball was just not going their way.
Essentially, that's what it was.
Like,
they were creating
France
chances.
lost. France lost. They didn't tie.
Yeah,
they lost.
Yeah, they lost, and but it's just that they're that good.
Yeah.
That they just ended up tying.
Yeah.
Right. And if they were supposed to lose the game, if they were playing a better team, if they were playing a Germany or Portugal, they would have lost the game.
Yeah.
They would have lost the game by 1 or 2 goals, easy. And so, but when they play, I think France is going up against Portugal, 2 teams that both of them need to win. I think it's going to be a tough game for Portugal. I think that the Portugal-Germany game wasn't a good representation of each team, because I feel that Portugal didn't play as good, but they also gave 2 goals to Germany, 2 own goals. So if you take those out, it's basically 2-2. And I think that's Portugal played down to Germany. And Germany just ended up, the better team at the end with the better chances. But I think that game, that Portugal-France game, is going to be one of the games of the tournament. And we're going to see if they're able, whoever wins or whoever loses is going to be able to advance. I think Portugal needs to do more with the kind of squad they have. That defense, they need to get rid of Pepe. I don't understand why that man is still there. And
we're still standing for that matter.
Dude, he's 38 years old, bro.
But he's still, honestly, I mean, you cannot lie and tell me he's not a beast. He's not fast.
No, he's not a beast. I hate Pepe.
He's annoying. Is he not annoying? He's annoying. He's just one of those annoying.
He's a horrible player, and he's one of those. One of those players. He's a cheap shot. He's a dirty player.
Yeah, like Ibrahimovic.
Sure.
Yeah.
But Pepe, I don't understand. You have Diego Dalot on the bench. You have Nuno Mendes. You have young guys. Throw them in there. Why do you still have Pepe? It's horrible. And same goes. I don't understand why they take out Bernardo Silva and they take out Bruno for João Moutinho. Don't get me wrong. Moutinho's a good player, but he doesn't compare to these 2 guys. Why do you have to bring them in? Why do you have to bring in players that are not going to really give you much? You have what you have, and there's a reason why they're playing. And you bring in William Carvalho, good player, but he's slow. He's a defensive midfielder. He's going to hold back. He's not going forward, and so I don't know. Some of the decisions they make, it's, you have Diego Jota, you take him out, you bring in Rafa Silva.